Alright, so this is Friday's trading activity. This screenshot here is just to show you that this was the only trade that I took for today. Failed, and right now I am currently waiting for this sell limit to hit. Alright, so initially I have my targets right up here. That is the daily swing high, and it's also part of a unfilled new day opening gap. Alright, so as you can see right now, we are trading into that new day opening gap, which is why we have some form of speed bump. I am trying to exit at the consequent encroachment of the daily wick. Okay, so let's see if it gives me that exit. After the trade is closed, I will show you how I derived from this trade idea. So why did I change my limit orders from here to here, like my targets? It is because right now we are in the PM session, and I am not sure if we are going to leave the highs for next week, because if you look at the daily chart, there is a lot of inefficiencies. Furthermore, today it's Friday, so we are currently in the last session for the week. The likelihood of the weekly candle closing near the highs is not very high, because we have been trading higher for this entire week. So I am going to just take my low-hanging fruit objectives and be content with that. So that's the reasoning why I moved my targets to this level here. Even though I think that when NQ takes out its London's high, ES is probably going to gravitate to this level here. What I can see right now is that it is probably going to take out my target after 130, and then they are going to retrace and accumulate a little bit, form a fair value gap on the 1 hour chart, and then during the 2 hour candle trade into that fair value gap and continue to expand higher. That is what I think it's going to happen, and I don't really want to sit through that retracement and accumulation phase, because that phase is not really ideal if I want to see my targets met for today. Okay, because you can do one or two things. There could be SMT on the Nasdaq. I'm not too sure how it's gonna pan out, but eventually it's either today or next week we're going to get to my targets for ES. Okay, and NQ, I have the NQ target as well, but for the NQ target it's quite high above, so I'm not sure if they're gonna hit it today. So that is the main concern here. You can always play my videos in 2x speed because I talk really slow, and in this case you can play it faster, or maybe if you want you can skip to the part whereby I have closed the trade, because I am only going to explain how I frame this particular trade idea and setup after I have closed my position. And also this is a live account, therefore you're not gonna see my, I cropped it out so that you don't get to see the account number. So let's just say they don't take out my target, my sell limit out here. If they don't reach into this level here after 130, which means they are going to leave this high. If they are going to leave this high here, I would probably push back my targets up here, okay, because this high will be a 1 hour swing high, which means if it ever leaves this high and then trades down into a 1 hour fair value gap, when it expands away from this high, it's going to be a parabolic price delivery. So let's see what they offer. Alright, so it's 1:30. Q1 has officially ended for the 90 minutes candle. If you study Day's quarterly theory, you will know what I'm talking about. All right, so 12 to 130, that would be your Q1. So in Q1 we have expansion. This is a expansion profile. Right, so for expansion profiles, usually what would you expect? You would expect something like this, expansion, and then in Q2 you get some form of retracements. Q3 you take out Q2's low, and then Q4 you resume higher. This is something that you would expect, but there is another profile that would be we continue to expand higher in Q2 and then in Q3 as well. Sorry, let me just redraw this. So in an event like this, there is another Q1 expansion, Q2 expansion, Q3 further expansion, and in Q4 we take out Q3's high and then we reverse lower. Okay, so this is a possible scenario as well, and this is the kind of scenario I am thinking that is going to happen for today's PM session. It is because we are in Friday, okay, and when we hit a certain higher time frame objectives within Q3 and Q2 or Q3, we are probably going to retrace and then close out the week with a premium wick. So if you imagine the weekly candle, seldom you see the closing price is the absolute high of the candle. Okay, there is usually going to be wicks, premium wicks and discount wicks. So that is your atomy of a candle. So which is why I am anticipating the second profile here in terms of, I mean, with regards to the Q1 expansion. And when you are expecting Q3 or Q4, sorry, when you are expecting Q4 to reverse, you are going to anticipate SMT between Q3 and Q4 between at least two indices. So for me, I mainly use ES and NASDAQ, but if you want to be more inclusive, you can use YM as well. YM meaning the Dow Jones. Okay. I personally think that if we are going to be really bullish, like closing out the week really bullish, I think this level here, 5602, is going to be the high of the week. Okay, I mean, that's just my assumption. Just a fun prediction. Alright, so you notice how we have two inside candles already when you are using this candle's range. So the third candle needs to take out this high or this low. because if it does not, we are probably going to be in a longer accumulation. So if we accumulate in Q2, we are probably going to get the first profile to play out, but I don't really like that profile for Friday. So let's see. The other thing that you want to note down is that when there are higher time frame objectives that has yet to be met, you do not anticipate TGIF. So that is one very important point that you need to consider when you are looking for a TGIF trade, right? So in this case, we have a daily swing high on NQ as the draw on liquidity that has yet to be taken out. And for ES, we have that new day opening gap above here. So that is your higher time frame objectives. This number one right here, this 600, that is your daily swing high for ES. So judging from the levels that we are at now, we are actually pretty close to that level. So which is why you don't really anticipate TGIF. And if you take a look at London, it traded up all the way into the 25% of the wick, but it colored outside the line. Okay, above this level here, we have the new day opening gaps low. So this by itself, okay, I won't get into that. I'll just wait for the trade to close. That is also part of me framing the narrative for today. So I'm gonna walk you through step by step later on, if it would just allow me to exit as soon as possible. Alright, so it's a good thing that we are at least taking out this candle's high. That's a good sign that we are probably going to get my exit. Okay, because as you can see, this was the largest candle, and this down close candle is within this candle here. This up close candle is within the down close candle. So it's like a contraction of the range. It's getting smaller, right? So what it is doing right here, it is at least taking out the previous candle's high. But still, I don't like how we are going to probably close this candle unless it gives me a surprise. Right, we have only 3 minutes left. Please don't tell me we are going to wait for the macro. It would be great if this candle can close above the opening price of that down close candle. Right here. Oh, okay. That's good. That's a good thing to see. So we're probably going to utilize this down close candle and send it to my exit. I would seriously prefer price to take out my order before the macro. Okay, so right here, if price trades back into this high, that would be immediate rebalance. I would like to see it that way. Okay. even though we have this volume imbalance down here, I don't really want to see price trade down there. Let's measure the other block. Looks like this high it's going to be left for 2 p.m.'s candle. Alright, we are officially in the macro now. There's just too many lines down here. I'm just gonna remove it. I'm gonna eyeball the 50%. This is why I would prefer my orders to be tagged before the macro. so we have a small little fair value gap down here. It was the candle that took out this swing high. Okay. At this point, I think if we're going to stay below, or should I say if we are, how do I put it in words? Okay, if we are going to close the 1 hour near the lows, then I think we are going to trade to the lows first and then higher. However, I don't really like the idea of it trading up into the highs first and then into that 1 hour fair value gap, because that would indicate seek and destroy. We are reaching into discount relative, not relative, but discount within that 90 minutes candle Q1's range. NQ, in my opinion, needs to create a fair value gap. If not, I'm going to cut my position. Alright, we just opened up a new hourly candle. Based on the close, I think it should gravitate to the highs first. Okay, this is the fair value gaps high, this low right here. In theory, price should want to do something like this. In theory, okay, but because it is closing near the highs rather than the lows, it is possible for it to do something like this. In that case, this would be seek and destroy. Alright, so in this case right here, that would be seek and destroy, which is something that I don't want to be part of. Alright, so by right, this is correct. Okay, this is what you want to see. Trade down into this fair value gaps high and then reverse higher. This is taking forever to play out. We don't really have much time left. The market closes in about 2 hours time. Yeah, about 3 hours. So we only have 3 more hourly candles to go. To me right now, if it really wants to attack this level here, it should want to do it with speed. Well, so let's see how it's gonna pan out. chop city on a 5 minutes. On NQ, we have already taken out that previous hour's candle. Let's take a look at the mini contract. So this is the 1 hour fair value gap that I'm talking about. Let's see. 5 minutes, 15 minutes. I remember there is a fair value gap right here. Oh, it's in the lower quadrant of the 1 hour fair value gap. Let's see. I don't want to see price spend too much time below 50%. I would like to see part of the gap left open to take out this highs. Tiny volume imbalance right here. This one on a 1 minute. Okay, so these two down close candles is a candidate for a order block. Let's see. So best case scenario, I get like SMT on the lows when comparing it to NASDAQ. Okay, so right now this on block, my eyes is on this down close candle. Okay, once I get a closing price above, I'll start to look for longs. Okay. If I'm stop out on this one, I'll close my micro contract as well. The position that I have on the micro. Okay, fair value gap with the last down close candle. If we start to trade above this fair value gap here, like if it starts to trade up into consequent encroachment of this fair value gap, my limit is probably not going to be filled. move on to the MEX to move my stops here, same as I would on that ES trade. Right, you can watch this fair value gap here. This fair value gap is the last speed bump that will allow my orders to be filled here. Once it starts to close above the consequent encroachment, this gap here is going to be left open. I mean, it's good if they leave it open, but it's just that I wouldn't get to fill. Okay, here's the chance now. Right? Now it has to reject aggressively away from this fair value gap, from my entry basically. Don't really want to see this fair value gap to be entirely filled up. I would like it to leave some gaps. That would be a good indication. Right, so this is something that I don't really like to see, but NQ is doing NQ things. It's dragging ES down with it. Okay, I'm gonna mark this fair value gap here. We have this small little volume balance. I'm going to include that as well. If we get a closing price below 50% consequent encroachment, I would most probably be wrong. This 589 level is the quadrant of that new day opening gap. So there's like a 25% of that new day opening gap. Once we close above this down close candle, I will be able to shift my stops to this swing low here. Above this high, I would like to see speed. It is 2:30 now. We have 30 more minutes for price to take out previous candle's high, which is over here. 30 more minutes to do so. The opening price of 2 p.m.'s candle is this one. So this would be the low-hanging fruit objective, if you may. Notice how it did not have any wicks above. I've mentioned just now in this session here that usually for a candle there is going to be a premium wick and there is going to be a discount wick. So what we did right now is, if you look at it on the hourly chart, on the hourly candle, it's a discount wick. So we don't have any premium wicks yet, okay? Which is why I said in the next 30 minutes, I would like to see expansion towards the upside. And if you take a look at the 3 minutes, you will see SMT between ES and NQ on the lows. 3 minutes time frame. I'm going to remove some levels here. Notice how this fair value gap has been the speed bump. Once we get above, I would like to see this fair value gap act as inversion fair value gap. Alright, so because we have a closing price above this down close candle, I am going to shift my stops to this low right here. Alright, same thing I'm gonna do for the MES. So far we have yet to see any form of displacement, okay, except for this candle right here. We don't have any huge green candles yet, right? If we take out this low, it's going to be high resistance liquidity run. Hopefully it doesn't happen. once we close above 50% of this fair value gap, I want to see large range candles. We are running out of time. Stops will be moved to break even after we take out this high. Right, so this is not something that I want to see. If it is going to take out this highs here in this 2-hour in this 2 p.m. candle, it has to move right now. So this is going to be like a fake out, and then we're going to move higher aggressively. This is the last chance. It's either that or I'm stopped out. That's it. Maybe a little bit over demanding on Fridays. Okay, we're trading back into the fair value gap on a 1 hour. Last 15 minutes. I'm still leaning towards this highs here, but let's see. Okay, that is the 2 p.m. opening price. Don't tell me they're gonna leave it to the macro. Alright, stopped out. Let's take a look at my MES to make sure it has triggered as well. Gonna remove this sell limit here, and moving back to ES, gonna remove that sell limit as well, right here. Alright, let's see. They're really gonna do this, huh? High resistance liquidity runs, and then they're gonna push it up straight without any form of retracements, I think. Let's see if we get any displacement. Last 10 minutes. my eyes is on this down close candle here. We'd like to see if we get a closing price above this high, this candle's high. We only have 7 more minutes left. The likelihood of it trading up into this high here, I mean, it is still possible because it can explode, right? So let's see. Okay, this is a rather good displacement. I would like to give it one last try. Let's see. Probably not gonna get it. It's gonna run straight for this high here. If I put my orders here, last try. I think the breaker should be enough, and this should be the breakaway gap. That is what I think. If we get a fair value gap here, that is most likely the case. So this is the breaker here. Too many lines. Right, the moment it takes out this high, I'm no longer interested in entering any position. 2 more minutes. Alright, that should be enough, I think. This should be enough to send the price higher. We have tagged into the breaker as well, right? The body right here. Right, there you go. Taking out this high. I think it's just gonna shoot for this highs without any retracements. What is this? Let's see. I like this down close candle. What's the risk? Two R. Okay, I'll give it a try. This to me, it's high resistance liquidity run. Came back out, stopped me out before it runs into the initial objective. Well, if it runs without me, I'm totally fine. What I'm doing right now is just I'm waiting to see if the market wants to give me a chance to hop on this ride. Let's see. You see this relative equal highs? This is the previous hour's high, and this is the current hour's high. Basically 2 p.m.'s high, 3 p.m.'s high. Let's see if they want to snap me in. Looks like the answer is no. IOFED. It's like giving me false hopes. Okay. I don't really want to see this gap this lower half be filled. I would like to see low resistance liquidity runs towards this high. This equal highs here should be the nitro. This is not what I want to see. If we close below 50%, this red line here, I'm gonna cut my position. And because I'm using that red line there as the mean threshold of these two up close candles, which is the breaker. I think I'll probably use this one. The last stop hunt. Yeah, I'll use that one. Ten more seconds. I am demanding because this is the second leg of distribution higher. I don't really want to see huge retracements. After all, we have went through this stop hunt here. It's feeling very lethargic. I don't like this at all. This is the third candle that I have spent in my entry. Usually it's only 1 to 2 candles if the price action is clean. And after these 2 candles closing within this fair value gap, we have yet to see a closing price above the fair value gap. Okay, so that is also another indication. I'm trying not to micromanage, but at the same time I have to be realistic of the current environment here and what the candlesticks is trying to tell me. If this candle is unable to close above this fair value gap here, I'll cut the position as well. Right. Last chance here. Yeah, I'll cut it. I'm uncomfortable with the position here. I can't get myself to hold on to the trade any longer. Okay, so that will conclude today's trading. Let me just show you how I derived from that trade. It's gonna be a quick one, and then it's gonna run to my targets. Okay, but anyways, if you move on to the daily chart, all right, let's remove everything. We have the candle. This is yesterday's candle. Okay, we closed above mean threshold of this order block, so we are obviously going to gravitate towards this high. Okay, that's number one. So bias is obviously bullish. Next up, if you're expecting continuation, you're going to anticipate price to trade back down into 25% of the previous candle's range. This is a daily candle, previous daily candle's range, and provide a market structure shift, or you anticipate your setup to form around that level. So dropping down into the 15 minutes, sorry, into the 20 minutes. Right here you have London. Sorry, let me just mark out that this level here. This is your new day opening gap, right? It is also a volume imbalance on the daily time frame. All right, so moving on to the 20 minutes. Right, notice how we have traded above Asia's high during London, and then we drifted lower into that 25% of the previous day's range. Okay, and then we have this price action here closing above this last down close candle. So my entry is, I have one over here, the midpoint between 0 and 25, and the other one at 25 itself, and my stops is this order block's low. Right, I am anticipating this order block to be my support, because this right here is a change in the state of delivery, and I will be looking for London's high and eventually higher if it wants to overextend. So that was the entire narrative and context of why I had that micro contracts and why I traded longs over here. Everything is based off of 20 minutes. I did not use any lower time frames to justify that entry, okay, because it is a micro contract, so I don't really have to limit the risk exposure with regards to taking that particular trade. Okay, so yeah, with this that's pretty much it for the review of that trade that I took. It lasted for so long, right? So yeah, from here, the moment it retraced, it is this candle and this candle that filled my limit orders, and then we started to move higher. This is low resistance liquidity run, which is something that I enjoy watching it pan out, right? Unlike the one that I have taken during the PM session. Okay, but yeah, that's pretty much it, and I hope you find it insightful, and I'll talk to you again. Anyway, just a disclaimer, I forgot to put one. Alright, and I'll talk to you again.